Hello and welcome to Ranoak, my N-Gauge layout. After the success of the first video in this series, the layout, I would now like to go back in time a bit to tell the story of how I got to Ranoak, which was started in 2003. Going back a long way, my interest in model trains all started when I was 8 months old. My parents gave me a toy train for my first Christmas, a Hornby 00 goods set. I seem to remember the engine was Southern. How my father found it during the war mystifies me. The train set and I grew, with a layout in my bedroom to a train room in the next house. But most fun was a layout on the large extended dining table, where a complicated track was laid using everything in the box, then running 2 trains and by changing the points, trying to avoid a collision. It was a good workout round the table. I built a 00 layout in the attic of our first matrimonial home, a bungalow, and like all the other layouts, never got to any scenery. It looks as if the garden should have been a greater priority, and probably explains why the loft ladder ended up over the fence in the field from time to time. However, this was where my main interest started with automation. Using a dismantled 1/8 straight and connecting the 2 outside rails with insulated connectors, I had created 2 contacts of a switch. This switch was activated by the engine, whose wheels closed the circuit. By using some relays, I created a foolproof system whereby a train could not cross a point that was wrong. Janet kindly tested this for me and managed to create chaos, so it wasn't foolproof at all. When we moved to our second house with a couple of children, there was no room for the trains in the house. So an old caravan was purchased, placed at the bottom of the garden, gutted, and my first N-Gauge layout built. Remembering a casual conversation I had had about model trains with another customer while in a shop buying a tape recorder, no, it doesn't make sense. He told me that because a man can only do one thing at a time, if you aspired to a layout with more than one train running at a time, it had to be substantially automatic. So the first N-Gauge layout was born, with about 100 yards of continuous track. I designed a layout that appeared to have mostly 4 tracks. The method of transferring from one track to the other was by means of ramps up and down below the baseboard. These ramps were a continual source of problems for several trains. The track was divided into 12 sections and allowed 6 trains to run at once. This layout survived 3 moves from the caravan to a garden shed and then to a top floor room at Bensfield. One piece measured 16 foot by 4 foot, yet it still amazes me how we did it. This layout was sort of automatic, with the use of old army relays, which I could reconfigure to suit my requirements, and 6 uniselectors, which enabled each engine to keep its own controller, as it moved from section to section, which I believe is called cab control. The reason for this arrangement is to ensure that the engines continue at the same speed as they move from section to section, something you do not have to worry about with DCC. There was one other layout before Ranoak, but it did not survive the next move. The current layout was started in 2003. I had finished the layout design and all the wiring diagrams for an analog system when I discovered DCC and the possibility of computer control. Having investigated DCC thoroughly, I decided to use a hybrid system with DCC Lents 101 for the engines only, and analog for all points, signals and automatic sections. The reason for this decision was that although fairly computer literate, I came to the conclusion that I would be spending most of my time playing computers and not trains. The computer program Train Controller that I investigated did not appear to accommodate automatic passing loops at that time, which was an essential part of my layout concept. I thought I would finish this video off with some shots from the cam truck. The first rushes showed up all the mess and bits only the cam truck can see, so several hours later, after a bit of fly removal, modification to scenery and removal of track pins, new clips were taken. The cam truck will meet up with all 9 trains currently on the layout, with a different camera angle on the high-level circuit. The cab view and sound is from a Class 55 Deltic, and as we meet up with the other trains, the sounds match the trains, all with the help of many clips from YouTube.